You know that feeling when you're about to click buy now, pay later, and a tiny voice whispers, "Don't do it," but you silence it because, hey, it's just 4 easy payments, right? That's exactly what destroyed Michael's life. And if you've ever justified a purchase you couldn't afford by telling yourself you'll figure it out later, you need to hear this story. Because what happened to Michael isn't just his problem. It's the silent epidemic crushing middle-class Americans right now, and nobody's talking about it. Michael was 32, living in Austin, Texas, working as a marketing coordinator, making around $60,000 a year. Not rich, not poor, just average. The kind of guy who'd scroll through Instagram during his lunch break, double tap on ads for sneakers he didn't need, smartwatches that promised to change his life, and those sleek furniture pieces that would totally transform his apartment. He wasn't irresponsible, at least that's what he told himself. He paid his rent on time, mostly. He had a credit score hovering around 680. He wasn't living paycheck to paycheck. He was living payment plan to payment plan. And there's a massive difference. It started small, like these things always do. A pair of wireless earbuds, $79 divided into 4 payments of $19.75. Manageable, easy, painless. He didn't even feel it when that first payment came out. 2 weeks later, he bought a leather jacket because winter was coming and, well, didn't he deserve something nice? $240 split into 4. Then a coffee maker because his mornings were miserable without decent coffee. Then a gaming console because his friends kept inviting him to play online and he felt left out. Then running shoes. Then a weekend getaway he financed through Affirm. Then a couch because his old one was embarrassing when dates came over. Each purchase made perfect sense in isolation. Each one was justified. Each one was affordable when broken down into those tiny, digestible payments. The problem wasn't any single purchase. The problem was that Michael stopped seeing money as real. When you're not handing over cash, when you're not even seeing your bank account drop by $300 all at once, spending stops hurting. It becomes abstract, theoretical, a future Michael problem. And future Michael? He was drowning. 6 months into his buy now, pay later addiction, Michael had 17 active payment plans. 17! He didn't even remember what half of them were for. Every 2 weeks, his checking account hemorrhaged money. $47 here, $83 there, $29, $56, $92. It was like 1,000 tiny cuts, and he was bleeding out financially. His rent started bouncing, not because he didn't have the money in theory, but because by the time rent was due, 7 different payment plans had already auto-drafted from his account. He'd deposited his paycheck on Friday, and by Monday morning, $600 had evaporated into payment plan fees. The late fees started stacking. His landlord charged him $75 for the bounced check. His bank hit him with $35 for insufficient funds. 2 of his payment plans were late, triggering another $50 in combined fees. He was paying fees on debt he'd taken on to buy things he'd barely used. That leather jacket still had the tags on it. The coffee maker used it twice before going back to the convenience store coffee on his way to work. The couch? It was nice, sure, but was it worth the financial anxiety that now consumed every waking moment? Michael tried to get ahead. He really did. He picked up a side gig driving for DoorDash on weekends, thinking the extra cash would help. But here's the cruel irony. He was so stressed and exhausted from working 7 days a week that he'd reward himself with more impulse purchases. A new phone case, takeout dinners, a subscription box he'd seen advertised. The debt wasn't just a financial problem anymore. It was a psychological trap. He was spending to cope with the stress caused by spending. His girlfriend, Lauren, noticed something was wrong when he canceled their anniversary dinner. He'd made up some excuse about a work project, but the truth was humiliating. He couldn't afford a $50 meal because he'd spent $400 that week on payment plans and late fees. When she pressed him, he finally broke down and showed her his banking app. The look on her face, that mixture of shock and disappointment, haunted him for weeks. She didn't leave him right then, but the relationship changed. Money problems have this way of poisoning everything else. The trust eroded. The resentment built. 3 months later, she moved out. Rock bottom came on a Tuesday morning. Michael woke up to find his car had been repossessed. He'd been so focused on managing his 17 payment plans that he'd missed 3 car payments. 3! His actual car, the thing he needed to get to work, was gone because he'd prioritized a gaming console and a coffee maker. He stood in the empty parking spot, staring at the oil stain where his Honda had been, and something inside him shattered. This wasn't bad luck. This wasn't the economy. This wasn't his employer not paying him enough. This was him, his choices, his delusion that he could have everything now and worry about it later. That night, Michael did something he should have done months ago. He made a list. Every single payment plan, every subscription, every debt. The total was staggering. $12,400 spread across dozens of services. Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm, PayPal Credit, Sezzle, even some sketchy ones he didn't recognize. His monthly payment obligations were $2,100 on a post-tax income of about $3,800 a month. His rent alone was $1,400. He'd been trying to live on $300 a month for food, gas, utilities, and everything else. No wonder he was failing. The solution wasn't complicated, but it was brutal. Michael called every single company and negotiated. Some let him defer payments. Others offered hardship programs he didn't know existed. He sold everything he could: the gaming console, the barely worn leather jacket, the smartwatch, even some furniture. He made $2,000, which he used to pay off his smallest debts completely. He got a better paying job, moved into a cheaper apartment with 2 roommates, even though he was 32 and it felt like going backwards. He deleted every shopping app from his phone, unsubscribed from every promotional email, blocked Instagram ads. The first 3 months were miserable. He felt like he was living in black and white while everyone else was in color. His friends would suggest grabbing dinner or catching a movie, and he'd have to decline over and over. Some of them stopped inviting him. But slowly, painfully slowly, things improved. His checking account stopped going negative. He stopped waking up with that crushing anxiety. He paid off his debts one by one, smallest to largest, feeling a ridiculous amount of pride each time a balance hit zero. It took Michael 2 years to fully recover. 2 years of saying no, of living below his means, of watching friends take vacations he couldn't afford and buy things he couldn't have. But here's what he learned. That voice that whispered, "Don't do it," before every purchase, that wasn't anxiety. That was wisdom. That was his future self trying to protect him. And every time he ignored it, he was essentially robbing the person he'd become. Buy now, pay later isn't evil, but it's designed to make you forget that later always comes. Those 4 easy payments, they're easy until you have 17 of them, until your life becomes a spreadsheet of obligations you can't remember signing up for, until you're choosing between groceries and keeping your furniture. So here's my question for you, because I know some of you are living this right now. How many payment plans do you have active at this moment? And more importantly, if they all came due tomorrow, could you cover them? Drop your answer in the comments, even if it's uncomfortable. Because Michael's story isn't unique, it's just the only one being told. And maybe, just maybe, your honesty might save someone else from making the same mistakes. What's the one purchase you regret financing that still haunts you today?